Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast with PJ and Mike. Now find yourself a seat at their table.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast with PJ and Mike. I'm PJ.
And I'm Mike.
And today feels like a bit of a flashback because we're going to talk about an old school character who's in a new movie. Adam Sandler decided that he needed to bring back Happy Gilmore.
Jackass!
And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the sequel to the 90s. Would you call it a cult classic or just a classic?
I think it's just a classic.
I think it's just a classic at this point. You know, it was a Netflix original, this movie, right off the bat. And that always puts me off because I feel like some of these Netflix movies are not great. But I could not skip Happy Gilmore 2. I love the original. Those Adam Sandler movies from the 90s, I mean, the classics, your Billy Madison.
Yep.
Happy Gilmore, and even the early 2000s, probably like Waterboy.
I love Waterboy.
Those movies are great. Mr. Deeds is great. I've been a big Adam Sandler fan for a long time. He announced he's doing Happy Gilmore 2. I was in, right? I was sold on it. How about you? Like when you first heard they were doing a Happy Gilmore 2, were you like in, or were you like, this is a bad idea? What was your immediate reaction?
I was in, but I was afraid. I'll say that. I was afraid.
Pretty much how I felt like.
Because I didn't want this to be a Dumber and Dumber 2.
Exactly.
I don't think it's Dumber 2 was not good. Like I said, I can't remember if I even saw it. I think I did see it, but it was so forgettable. I have like a mind wipe.
Dumb and Dumber 2 or the Dumb and Dumberer?
I'm sorry. I think you're right. Wait, whatever the sequel was.
Well, there was Dumb and Dumber, which was great, and then there was Dumb and Dumberer, which
was the prequel.
And that was awful. That was awful, except for the scene where they're shitting and there's like that was pretty funny. Outside of that scene, it's awful. And then there was Dumb and Dumber 2, which was better, but also nowhere near as good as the original.
Right.
But that's the same sort of thing where you see these classics from like our childhood, our youth, and then they bring them back, and you're like, what are we doing? So that brings us to Happy Gilmore 2. I had the same feelings you did, where I said, I'm in, but I hope it's good. And it dropped like a week or two ago on Netflix, and I watched it, I think the day or two after it came out. So I saw it pretty much fresh.
Correct.
And look, we'll get into a summary and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and folks, this is we're going to do spoilers here. We'll do a plot summary. Maybe we'll
That's just like the plot summary. Like, did you see the first one?
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't. Yeah. Well, you know what? We do our quick review, and then we'll dive deeper.
All right.
I'm not doing any kind of plot summary here. This is just, I actually wrote this down in a group chat. I'm just going to basically reread it. Yeah. I love Adam Sandler, right? And unfortunately, I got lazy Adam Sandler again. You know, it's 2 hours long. 2 hours, it's too long. I understand sometimes you have to do, inserts from the previous film depending on the movie, but I think it was too many. I thought there was too many cameos that took away. I think it just took away screen time. Even though they were kind of slim, it's taken away from the more funnier characters, which I think was Shooter McGavin and Haley Joel Osment. They partially did what I hoped was they had Shooter McGavin be a mentor. But to kind of reset back to what is in the first one, basically a nobody. He loses his house again. His grandma's already dead, or she died in real life, so they couldn't bring her back. But most importantly, to me, it wasn't really that funny. There's too many callbacks to the jokes from the first film, and if you're just repeating them, then it's I already heard these jokes, and if you never even saw the first one, so you're a young kid and you see this, they're not even landing that well. They're not even executed that well. And if you're redoing them again,
they won't land on their own unless you're really familiar with the first one. Is the problem?
Yeah. And just for me, that just dilutes the first one. I guess I laughed a few times, basically with Shooter McGavin. But for me, as a movie itself, just objectively, I give it a 5 out of 10. But in terms of a sequel to Happy Gilmore, I give it a 4 out of 10. If that makes sense.
Yeah. The price is wrong, bitch.
I get where you're coming from. I'm going to read my review from that same.
Yeah.
And the first thing I was watching, and I gave a live update. I was about 30 minutes in, and I said, I'm sufficiently entertained, but this movie's not winning any awards. And then my reaction towards the end of the movie was, it's pretty much what I figured a Happy Gilmore 2 would be. It's, I don't think it was anything else that I would have necessarily thought to do different. I said the jokes are what they are, and if I was 11 still, I'd laugh more, but I'm not. So it's just it's mildly amusing. I didn't think the cameos were too distracting. I don't know that they all served any purpose. I didn't think.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not serving the story or anything.
Right,
It's
yeah,
just
they
like,
didn't
hey,
really
remember
serve a
this guy?
purpose. Yep.
You know,
No,
it
I'm
was just
with you
like
on that.
one of his most important characters he's ever played. You know what I mean? Like
This and Billy Madison started his career, really.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like it just feels it is very lazy. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is the best way you can come up with. And I'm like I said before, later on I'll do my pitch again. And what I think they should have done was basically a parody of Rocky 3 or 4. I mean, you had it perfectly set up to do that. I mean, it was right there. It would have been easy.
I would give the movie like a 5.5 out of 10. I laughed at some points. I really loved the original, so I liked some of the callbacks. I didn't mind the flashbacks they did. I thought they served a purpose in the story. A little overdone, but I kind of like seeing those flashbacks. I mean, it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It's certainly not the best. It's right down the middle. And I don't know that you could have gotten a better. I don't know if there's a way to make this movie better because I don't know that we needed it after watching it. It was not a movie we needed. And like I always say, we didn't need this movie. Nobody asked for this movie, but we live in a world where this movie exists. And so I've watched it, and it was right down the middle at best. And I see this movie. It doesn't make me want a Waterboy 2. I don't want him to go back to any of these classic movies. This movie is worth watching one time, especially if you're a fan of the original, and then that's it. That's it.
So here's my thing with that, PJ. Do I recommend it? Obviously, if you're a fan of the original, of course. However, I think what gives this movie, I guess people, because I guess the fan reaction has been somewhat more positive. People are like, well, what do you expect? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, I think you'd be a little bit more disappointed if you paid for it, you know?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
This is on Netflix, so, you're obviously paying for the service.
But it's not the same.
Exactly.
You don't feel it.
No way. So I think that's why people are a little bit more generous with their ratings.
Yeah.
But I was not happy.
Not the best. Look, like I said, I didn't hate it. I think I liked it a little more than you did. I found parts of it amusing. I wasn't not entertained. It wasn't like I walked up and like out of the room and was like not paying attention to it and doing other stuff. I was able to sit through it and get through the story and understand it. There were some emotional impacts and all that, that they tried to put in there. Some stuff worked, some stuff didn't. If you've never seen the first one, don't bother watching this one. If you've seen the first one and you don't care about it at all, don't watch this. This is strictly made for fans of the first movie. And when you do that, when you make a movie that's you're for a specific small group of people, where you got to be a super fan of the first one in order to make this one, the movies don't work because that's not good filmmaking to me. A sequel should stand on its own.
Exactly.
And this doesn't. I mean,
exactly.
It just doesn't, right?
I saw it on a comment on a YouTube video, and someone says that the reason why Top Gun was so good because it wasn't, a redo, or you didn't reduce, Maverick back to what he was in the first one. It was a continuation of it.
Right.
And
for me,
it
goes right back
to
him being a schlub.
Yes, and I'll give a quick plot summary, and PJ, help me out if I forget anything. So basically, it kind of starts out with which I was a little surprised, but that he was a very successful golfer. He won a couple of tournaments, and then what happens is...
I like that, by the way, when we found that out, that he stuck with it and he was good at it.
Right.
I actually thought that was... Because like you said, that's character progression.
Yeah.
The movie ended with him being good, and he doesn't regress back. He gets even better. I like that part.
Yeah, exactly. So, get into my rewrite shortly, but later on. But anyway, what happens within the first... feels like the first 4 minutes, he's basically at a golf tournament, and he hits the ball, and he ends up killing his wife. Truthfully, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
I didn't like that either. I thought that was dumb.
You didn't have to even do that. But anyway, then he loses because of his wife, was handle his financials, blah, blah, blah. So he loses his house. He has 4 or 5 kids. I remember, it doesn't really matter. The main one is the daughter. The other 4 boys, whatever, completely useless.
Really added nothing to the film.
And her dream is apparently to become a ballet dancer, and she has to go to France, and he has to make a lot of money to win his house back.
Yep, and pay for her to go to school.
Yep, and he also becomes an alcoholic due to his wife passing away. Then he gets back into like the circuit, and then from there, there's a new league. I think it's called Maxi, which is basically almost like the XFL,
drink.
right? Like it's like the XFL of golf, where it's a little bit more entertaining. Then you find out that Shooter McGavin was in the psych ward all these years, which is almost like Dumber and Dumber 2, right? I think Lloyd was in the psych ward too for years. And anyway, the movie happens, and then Happy wins. I'm not gonna get to every little snippet thing, but yeah, I didn't like the wife died. I thought that kind of took it away.
I didn't think that added to the movie at all.
Yeah, I didn't like I said, I didn't really like any of this.
And I didn't mind him becoming, he becomes an alcoholic now because his wife died. Like I get that. But the jokes where he was hiding the booze and things was like, it just wasn't funny. Like he was like using the TV remote controls like a flask or whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't think any of that was funny. I don't know. That stuff didn't land. The callbacks landed, but the new stuff didn't.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, the callbacks were just kind of like, they just seem so. Hey, remember this? Wink, wink, wink. It just feels so forced and just, I don't know. I just didn't really like it. Let me get this out of my system, PJ. So if I had to redo a rewrite of this, I said it was right there in my mind, like you said. Have him kind of maybe win 2 more tournaments, right? And he becomes for me like the celebrity. Or reality star golfer, like maybe he's on America's Next Top Golfer kind of show or something. He becomes like a goof, and all of a sudden this newcomer comes. Maybe it's Haley Joel Osment, that character, is able to hit the ball just as far as Happy Gilmore, and he's all around good. Someone compares him to Happy, and he goes, "Well, I'm not him. I'm not a fluke. He only won 2 or 3. He was just that was 20 years ago. That was bogus. Blah blah blah. And then anyway, Happy, let's say, has a chip on his shoulder. Well, I'm going to try to beat him." And then he loses like badly, and then he becomes a laughing stock. And then, kind of like any sports movie, he's lost, he doesn't know what to do. And then enter Shooter McGavin, where his wife, she would be still alive. She'd be like, "You got to get training. You got to go, get help." And he could say a line like, "You think I'm going to get help from a guy who eats pieces of shit for breakfast?" Like that would have been a more appropriate callback. And then him reluctantly asking for help, and then maybe they could beat each other up. And then you do like I said, Rocky 3 and 4, and then he beats him at the end. That's all you could have done, And along the way, you had some jokes, and that's one of the things I didn't like about this film is there was no, besides the callbacks, there was no new jokes. I mean, I wrote down some of my favorite jokes from the first one, PJ. I just thought when Happy Shooter McGavin goes, the guy who has the thing stuck in his head, he goes "Well, good for Happy Gilmore. Oh my God!" I love that line. I constantly for years I walk around just saying to myself when people say something like, "Man, who gives a shit? Green jacket, blue jacket." Who gives a shit? You go to your home. You do good for all these classic lines. Even just the scene with them at the ice rink when he's takes her out on the date, and the Zamboni driver, I forgot what the janitor, he's lip singing to the movie. I mean to the song.
Right.
Endless Love or some shit. I mean classic. I mean, or is there a part, I can't remember if this is from Billy Madison but I think he breaks up with his girlfriend, and he speaks on the intercom. It's like, "I'm gonna kiss you all." Right? Which one is that?
That might have been Billy.
Oh, okay, but still, I'm like, those were all funny moments.
Yeah.
And they were original. It was a silliness.
If I saw myself in clothes like those, I'd have to kick my own ass.
And this is just him going "Oh, okay, I gotta win my daughter's back." That's when you get sensitive when he has to speak in that lower register. I look, God damn it, you know what I mean?
Right.
I get it, that's him. I don't mind that, but it's phoning it in. I don't know.
If I was making this movie, I like him becoming a successful golfer and then retiring and becoming an analyst, or like you said, America's Next Top, that kind of shit. Let him retire. I actually would prefer that Happy would have been the one that comes back to train somebody new.
Oh, okay. That would have been appropriate.
That, in my mind, I think, because this movie is 30 years later or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So he could be retired. He's not playing, and then even if they wanted to go the same route with extreme golf or whatever they want to call it, and nobody can beat these new guys or whatever, so they need to get trained by Happy and have Happy play the Apollo Creed role. Yeah, I think that's a route that I would have liked, and then even
you could have done that.
End, and at the very end, even the new guys he's trained can't get past that final hole, and somehow Happy gets to play just the final hole.
Yeah, and
the whole tournament. That's the way that I think I would have gone with Happy as that.
I was gonna say that's good. That's a good one too, because you could have had Happy, almost like what's that movie that came out? Apollo Creed, whatever one it was,
Creed,
where they had. But you
Creed movies,
right? You have Shooter McGavin train a new guy. What was it? The Drago's son versus Apollo Creed's son.
That's the movie that I think
you could have parodied that. That's what I'm saying. You had the blueprint And I love parodies, and this is the perfect element to do it. It's okay to do in the same beats.
I think that Adam Sandler is not really a parody guy, I guess. That's the way I think I feel like, and I could be wrong because obviously we don't know him, but I feel like he's one of those guys that prides himself a little bit on the fact that he writes these things and it comes from his mind. And, I don't know, he brings these characters to life and he doesn't do it by looking at another. I think that's the impression I've always gotten from him because his characters are so, I'll give the guy, you got to give him credit where it's due. His characters are all unique, but they're all him.
Oh, yeah. No,
you know
absolutely.
I mean?
No, 100%.
And he made that into a career. So I guess he feels like maybe he doesn't want to be compared to another movie. But there was definitely a better way to do this movie. I mean, for sure. I didn't hate it. I'm never going to watch it again.
Hey, well,
I didn't hate it. It could have been a lot better. Yeah, I don't know. Was he a Bruins? He was a Bruins fan in the first one.
Yeah.
Does he come from Boston? And was that ever a part of the plot?
I don't think so. I don't remember him. I know he always wanted to be a hockey player, so he wears
right. But
I think that's like a very iconic jersey. Is the Boston Bruins? Yeah, man. Like I said, with this film, I just felt it was just, like I said, you're gonna walk away from this movie not think about any. You're not gonna remember any good jokes. You're not gonna come out. That's one of the things that I'm really frustrated with all movies. Is nothing's memorable. Like there's no memorable lines. What's a movie that you can really think? I mean, of course you're gonna have your outliers, but I feel like early 2000s, like forever, we always had memorable lines from movies. The only one I can really think of.
Trouble though, pal. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
No.
Oh my God, that's 2000. I was going to say Why So Serious? The past 5 years, 22. I mean, it's a memorable line from a movie that we can walk around going like, oh, I know that's from, Forrest Gump. I know this is from this, and that.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, and I know you're gonna disagree. Well, you may not disagree, but you won't like it. The only movie recently that has a line that people keep saying, and they're saying it to death, and it's even annoying me, is That's the New Punk Rock. That's been around a lot. That's not going to last, but right now people keep saying That's the New Punk Rock. And I know you don't love the Superman movie.
That's regardless, but I don't really... I feel like that movie hasn't...
That's the only line recently I don't think it'll stick around, but right now a lot of people are using that. Right. But really there's nothing super, super quotable or anything anymore.
I mean, I think actually I think the only one that really became quotable was
I Am Iron Man.
No, woo! I'm about to make a name for myself. That one really took
into
the place.
Disappeared.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, these things are gonna. Yeah. But I think if you were to say it, people know it's from Deadpool, at least Gambit. I know what you're saying, but like this kind of falls back into this movie, and just going back to people like the fans going like, oh, this is good, it's a feel-good movie. I want to be like, we can't celebrate mediocrity, guys. That's how we got ourselves in the first place with all this stuff.
I mean, when you look at movies, the state of movies that are coming out, it's a lot of who gives a shit about half of the movies hitting the theaters. And whether I want to celebrate a mediocrity or you want to celebrate excellence or you want to shit on the bad ones, it's not even about I want to go see bad ones to shit on them anymore. There's just nothing I care enough about in a positive or negative way. There's nothing. It's just like a wasteland of just nothing.
Yeah.
What's the next movie coming out that you really want to see? I mean, can you even name one?
I want to see, it's out right now. I want to see Naked Gun. It got good reviews. I always love those movies. And then I don't even know. I don't feel like seeing. I don't feel like seeing Zootopia 2. I'm pissed off about that. Am I gonna see it? Yeah, but I'll
probably see it. But that might be when I wait for streaming.
Yeah. Depending how it. It's something about that's bothering me. Maybe because it's another sequel. But PJ you bring a good point because I put it on our notes here. Are the comedies coming back? I do think. I do think though. I feel it's brewing. I can honestly say this, folks at home. I really feel like there's something brewing because Fantastic Four didn't do that well in the box office. Even Superman, it made a lot of money. It's greenlighted for a second one. It's not. It's not where they.
It's not $1 billion movie.
Yeah. Even Jurassic Park, it's kind of it made a lot of money, but it's not where it was. So I feel like studios are gonna drift now to I think it's time we trying to find another ID or property or something like that we can milk the crap out of. Hey, if let's say Happy Gilmore was a big hit, you would have been seeing, or Naked Gun right now is kind of on, it seems like it's doing well. So you might see it because I think they're banking a lot on Scary Movies is returning, the one the Wayans brothers are making. So if one of them is a giant hit, Hollywood is a rinse and repeat kind of thing. Obviously we know that for the past 20 years with franchises and everything.
I don't think they're going to hit. And I want Naked Gun to be good, and I'll see that eventually. And I want Scary Movie to be good. The problem is the current climate of the world is that if you once something offends somebody even a little bit, it's over. And look, comedies are funny when they push the envelope. When they're
Of course,
edgy,
when they're edgy, yeah.
and you can't do that anymore. And look, if you can't do it anymore, and you have to, it was a society adjust to being lame because we don't want to offend anybody. Comedy or drama or action, the genre doesn't matter. It's not going to be good if the art can't be edgy, if it can't push the envelope, if it can't be that, if it has to just bend to the will of what society feels is acceptable, and you can't push a boundary. These movies are all going to be terrible. Think about the best movies. They all have a bit of controversy to them, and you just can't have controversy anymore. And I believe it was Eric Bischoff that told us this. Controversy creates cash.
Yeah.
And you can't be controversial anymore.
I agree with that. And I do feel like, I think about a movie like Dumb and Dumber, the first one. There's nothing really, what's really edgy about it? You know, like, you're trying to tell me there's no one in Hollywood who could write that movie? What's so edgy about, I mean, Happy Gilmore 1, besides the scene he thinks go to this happy place? All right, wow, you could switch that out. You could switch that out with a good joke, which they did in the movie, which wasn't as bad. It was good. But I think you can write these things. I think it's possible. Like, one of my favorite movies is The Burbs with Tom Hanks. I think they're actually turning it into a TV series now, but you can, who knows? But I'm saying, I think there is a possibility where, like, I'm going to say I want things to be edgy, but that doesn't mean, like, something has to be exploiting people, making fun of people to be a hit. Like, you can still write something to be, like, think about Ace Ventura 1 or 2. Liar, Liar is a perfect example. There's nothing about that movie that is edgy or, you know, it's just a dude who can't lie, and it just turns into, that's like classic comedy. You're trying to tell me there's no one out there who can write a movie like that that's that simple and hilarious?
It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like they exist. And I mean, there has to be a reason for that. That's what I'm saying. There has to be a reason that these things aren't good anymore. And if the reason is these writers feel like they're in a box that they're not allowed to get out of, then they're not gonna make these movies, and they're gonna just do what the box office wants, which is apparently not superheroes anymore. So I don't know where we go from here.
Yeah.
I think I said it in our last episode. Like, superhero movies are becoming the new westerns. They were huge, and now they're not so huge, and they still have an audience for sure, but it's not $1 billion audience. I don't know that there is another genre that's going to come out that's going to make $1 billion movie at this point. What's the next $1 billion movie? Maybe the Avengers, because it has to be.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Barbenheimer was an anomaly, obviously.
Right.
Like. But other than that,
I don't know. Avengers doesn't make $1 billion; it loses money, is what I'm hearing. That's not, and I don't know that it will. What's next? What's coming out that's going to hit $1 billion?
Maybe Avatar.
I think
Avatar 3.
If Avatar 3 hits $1 billion,
I think it is. I think it will, even though, like, they're so forgettable.
It's so stupid. It is. I don't need to see it to tell you it's stupid. The first one was stupid. The second one I didn't see, but it's stupid. And the third one, they're all stupid. Listen, he needs to go back into his office and figure out how to write robots from the future again. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with this guy. Stop with the big blue cats and do something new. He's one of the best of all time. All he can do is blue cats.
I can't. I'm really I would love to ask him, like, yo, bro, you're trying to tell me
what
like,
the fuck?
Real quick, folks, as we're kind of wrapping up. The past 2 weekends I just revisited some old movies I'd never seen before that are old. So I actually watched My Neighbor Totoro, which is like a Japanese animation film. It was good. It was cute. That was nice. Then I watched My Dinner with Andre. It's very unique, I'll say that. Actually, PJ, random fact, I was doing research about that film. Troma actually helped distribute that film.
Yep.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Troma, one of my favorite studios.
Yep.
I love Troma.
That's right. Yep. And then lastly, I watched it last night. I really enjoyed it. A Woody Allen film. I've been trying to watch this film for like 20 years. It came out in 2005. It's called Match Point. Scarlett Johansson's in it. Dude, it was great. It's not a comedy, even though it's a Woody Allen film. It's actually more suspenseful and a love story. I'm not going to spoil it. I took a turn. I was like, whoa. Highly recommend it. It was great. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, folks, is wow. I mean, like, it's like day and night. Those 3 films, I don't know if they would even be made today. They wouldn't even go on. They wouldn't even be direct to streaming. They just would not be made at all, and I'm not really sure
Yeah.
why. I
Yeah.
get, especially something like even the pacing of like My Neighbor Totoro. I don't know if the studio would be like this because that movie's kind of just like kind of fluid. You know, it's not like that kind of movie. My Dinner with Andre, no way, no way.
Yeah.
That would be turned just, which I think it is now, a play. And then
I think
Match
I
Point.
mentioned.
I mean, it might be like one of those films. Like it'd be an Oscar, because it's a Woody Allen film. But I highly
I think I
recommend that
mentioned the other
movie.
day,
Though.
The My Dinner with Andre was parodied in a couple of different modern cartoons. Maniacs did, I think it was My Dinner with Wacko or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Rick and Morty did one. It was, I forget what the name of the episode was, but they parodied that too. Some of these old movies have staying power. I just rewatched Dracula, the 19, what was it, 30 whatever, Bela Lugosi one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The old school ones, like
Yes.
the old school Universal monsters. You know, I sit around comic books and people come in and buy horror toys and shit all day, and for whatever reason, it just put me in the mood to watch those old school horror movies. And I was watching it, you know, and look, it's a product of its time, so you can't judge that movie against the movie that would come out today. But there's something about those movies that have a gravitas to it.
Yep.
And so when you watch them, even if it's like the pacing is slower and it's not as actiony or not as, you know, the dialogue's not snappy or whatever, but there's still something to those movies that they give off an aura of like, it feels important when you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can't capture that today. Like the new I didn't see the new Nosferatu, but there's been a ton of Dracula movies that have come out over the last 10, 15 years. Dracula Untold was one of them. None of them are watchable, or if they're watchable, they're very forgettable. But the famous images of like Bela Lugosi with like the shadow with just his eyes lit up, like that imagery lasts. I don't know why we can't make movies where the imagery and the artistry is like on point and the story is on point. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. But I also recommend watching those movies, man. They're all great. All those classic monster films. Frankenstein is great. The Wolfman's really good.
I was just in the mood to rewatch all of them because I've been sitting around this stuff in the shop, and I'm like, all right, I'll start watching some of these old ones again. It's been a million years, and you still remember them. You're like, wow, these hold up. Like you remember watching them the first time, and you're watching them now, but they don't. It's different. I don't know. The new movies don't have that staying power. Can you imagine a movie coming out today? The 30s was how many years ago? A million? Like, what do we...
Oh, close to 100. It's close
to 100 years ago. Can you imagine in 100 years someone watching Happy Gilmore 2?
Oh, no way. No way.
That's
no
what
way.
I mean.
No way.
I mean, I know it's not necessarily the most fair comparison because of but you know what? You get the point.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah, I don't think anybody is my opinion, I don't think the Marvel like cinema is going to be as revered as like a Batman Returns or the Superman, even all the four Supermen, you know, from back in the day.
They won't. Nothing that comes
besides
out
like a few films in that 20 movie thing of
maybe the first
Thanos.
Iron Man might, but
Iron Man, maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think is going to make it in there. I do think the Captain American films are going to make it, but the rest of them, forget about it. You know, forgettable.
Nothing's going to have the staying power as those original. You know, 1978, Christopher Reeve made you believe a man can fly.
Yeah.
When they had nothing but a wire, and they made you believe that this guy was flying. You're not going to get a classic like that ever again, because now it's not that I can do it, but it's almost too easy.
Yeah.
You know,
doing
these things now just becomes too easy. There's not a lot of work involved in them, but I don't know. I feel like if in another year or so we're talking about like The Wedding Singer 2, we're gonna have the same conversation.
Right.
So I just hope Adam Sandler got sequels out of his system, and he could go back to making something new.
Yep, I agree. Maybe uncut gems too. Now, that's just a joke. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not possible. It's not possible. So, even those who saw it, you know, unless I do a prequel. But yeah, folks, I guess we're recommending Happy Gilmore. Only watch it if you've seen the first one and have Netflix. If for some reason there's some way you can purchase this, like through an Amazon thing, do not do it. Don't buy it on.
Don't spend extra money.
Don't exactly.
Don't spend extra money on this. If you've already spent money and you have nothing to do and you like the first one, fine. But if you were like, oh, this is the reason to buy Netflix, this is not the reason to buy Netflix.
Yep. Great. All right, guys. We'll see you at the, was it 9th green at hole? Was it 9 at 9, right? What the heck it was?
9 at 9,
yeah.
Yes.
All right. Same time, same table.
Have a good one.
Jackass! Boys and girls, lunchtime is over. For more information, visit their website at coolkidslunchtable.podbean.com. Follow the boys on all social media platforms. Just search Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast. Now get to class before you get detention.